The Taming of Coyote, Chapter 16. Full bellies made a big difference. The group of lost wanderers had far more energy now. Still, morale had only improved slightly. It wasn't easy to entrust one's own survival to a clumsy teenager. However, Coyote was adamant about Avery's leadership. So long as the others trusted him, they ate regularly. Coyote and his coyotes were always close by. Having the regular food and protection certainly gave Avery a much-needed boost to his confidence. He still retained a modest nervousness, but also soon felt strong enough to voice his thoughts and opinions. One opinion of his was quite clear. They were not nomads and could not wander so aimlessly forever. The others felt just the same. Crickets chirped as the group slept peacefully. There was no need to fret about sleeping in shifts at this point. The coyotes kept a night vigil, and all humans could rest. The only one awake was Avery. He wandered to the edge of the camp's perimeter, led only by the dim light of the fire in the center, surrounded by sleeping bodies. He stared absently at the darkness, unable to find answers so desperately sought to his questions. "You are restless, Avery," Coyote stated as he moseyed beside him. "Do you not need your rest as well?" "Where are we going, Coyote?" Avery asked with a worried sigh. "Where do you want to go?" "Home. We need a home to settle into, Coyote. It's warm now. We've been very fortunate to have good weather. But what will happen if rain comes? What about when cold weather sets in? Our arrangement has brought everyone closer, but hope is only so plentiful." "The nomadic life is not for you," Coyote stated. "Have you just figured that out?" "No," Avery admitted. "I knew it from day one. I just didn't want to seem ungrateful. My request was so much already." To carefully calculate the pros and cons, and to come to conclusions based on them. These are good leadership qualities." "You say things like that so often. I am flattered by them, but I feel that I fall far short of whatever you are expecting of me." "Never doubt yourself," Coyote ordered, in a flat tone. "You are concerned for—" "We need to build a settlement. Then we can live off these fruits you shared with us. We can grow, expand, and maybe even connect to other villages. We cannot last the way we are right now. We are too few." Coyote took a heavy glance toward the other humans. It seemed that Avery always thought of them first. He cared so little for the well-being of his own person. Much like a pack, it would benefit more than the lone animal. If Avery were an animal, Coyote could see him as one of his own. He admired that in him. "When the time is right, you will know what to do, Avery," Coyote stated almost thoughtfully. "Do you really believe that?" "I do. I believe it deep down. Now if only you could." An awkward silence followed. Coyote could only watch with a sense of curiosity as Avery twisted his face. He wanted to ask for his thoughts, but chose instead to wait for the proper time. If the boy wanted him to know, he would share. "East," he said suddenly. Coyote perked his ears erect at the sound of his voice. "I think we should go east tomorrow." Coyote began to make his way back into the shadows and darkness of the woods beyond the perimeter. "If east is where you wish to go, then east is where I shall escort you." The path was not an easy one. There were many dips and stumbles. Common sense would say to veer from Avery's chosen course. They wanted to travel in another direction. However, Avery was determined to tough out the obstacles. Perhaps he felt he just had to prove something to them. Perhaps he had to prove something to himself. Whatever the reason, he was determined to stick it out. "Avery," Hogan huffed, "do you have any idea what you're doing? Did Coyote tell you something?" "I'm just taking it as it comes," Avery forced out. It was hard to talk and get over the rough terrain at the same time. "I have a gut feeling." "Gut feeling?" Lewis laughed. "I hope it's not just gas." Humor was good, especially in the current situation. At times, it was all that could keep them going. Still, there was a skeptic or two. Sally slipped and landed into her husband. "What if we hit a cliff?" "The coyotes will not let us come to any harm," Avery replied. "I am sure of it." "How can we trust those savage tricksters?" "There hasn't been a better option," Lewis defended. That seemed to silence and satisfy Sally. By the mid-afternoon, the terrain leveled. Many a foot was grateful for that. The vegetation was even more inviting. Berry bushes were aplenty about the base of the trees. The birds that flew overhead seemed so happy. It differed from previous spots. It began to feel that special something. The smell was so warm and fresh. There were flowers nearby. There were honeysuckles. Oh, and there was even a hummingbird. "Where are we?" Sally breathed. Avery paused for only a moment longer before he rushed ahead into the evening sun to behold what could only be described as a miracle. A large field was enveloped within the woods. As shades of pink, purple, and orange painted the sky, deer and rabbits peered up from flowers and grass. A fox bounded out and darted into the trees. "What is this paradise?" "Miles of fertile and sturdy land," Coyote replied as he came alongside him, seemingly out of nowhere. "Here, hunting is at its prime, and the farming will be terrific." "What are you saying, Coyote?" "Even through hardships you persevered. You cared for your people more than you cared for the well-being of yourself. With my protection, you could easily have abandoned them. You have earned all of your blessings. This piece of land was created just for you." Avery couldn't believe it. He stared at Coyote, mouth agape. It was as if he was waiting for him to admit that he was just teasing. "You can't be serious, Coyote." "I swore that I would give you what you asked for in repayment for your kindness. You chose to care for your group as a whole, rather than just you. Go, Avery. Go and found your village." To that, Avery smiled wide and rushed back to the others. "Hey! Hey! We're home! We're home!" "Home?" the others questioned. "Coyote has given us land to build a village. Come and see! It's beautiful! It's paradise!" "Avery, you did it!" Hogan cheered as he laid eyes over the open field. "Hurry, you lot! Let's get to work!" He gave Avery a heavy pat on the shoulder. "Let's set to work and build the village of Turn."